On the eve of our wedding, my boyfriend took our engagement ring and got together with his intern. I commented a line under her social media update flaunting their relationship. He then aggressively confronted me, demanding why I was being unreasonable. Let's break up. Remember to transfer my share of the housing money back to me. I decisively broke up with him. Later, I became his client. When we met again, I had a boyfriend, while he couldn't even compete to be my vendor. I remember the first time I saw the video his intern posted flaunting their relationship. My mind felt utterly blank. What I saw was unbelievable, and it took me a long time to process it. I only remember forcing out the words "I wish you both well" before frantically hanging up the phone and fleeing in disarray, like a defeated soldier. That night, I curled up in bed, tossing and turning until dawn broke. My mind kept replaying Ethan's slightly tired but smiling face from the video, and the clear, melodious laughter of the woman beside him. The next morning, Ethan returned home with several steaming hot breakfast dishes. "Honey, come quickly and have breakfast. Look what delicious things I prepared for you." As usual, he arranged the breakfast on the table, with a hint of appeasement in his eyes, and didn't mention a word about being out all night. "Where were you last night? Didn't you say you'd be back early? Do you have any idea how worried I was about you all night?" The emotions I had suppressed all night finally erupted, my voice choked with accusation. "I'm sorry, honey, the company had an impromptu dinner last night. I really couldn't get away." He casually explained why he hadn't come home, as if everything was perfectly reasonable. If I hadn't seen it with my own eyes, I might have actually believed his excuse. What kind of colleague dinner is more important than my unemployment? It was just a regular colleague, and it coincided with her full-time conversion. You know how it is in the workplace, sometimes you just can't help it. As he spoke, he seemed to remember something and shifted his attention to my layoff. "So, is the layoff confirmed? Is the severance package settled?" I replied blandly, "Yeah, I have to go to HR today to finalize the paperwork. From now on, I won't be able to commute with you anymore." "It's okay, baby, even if you don't work, I can support you." "I don't need you to support me. I just hope you won't leave me to face things alone like you did last night." "I won't. Last night was just an accident. I promise, I'll never leave you alone again." He gently pulled me into his arms, his large hands softly stroking my hair, his voice full of tenderness. Under his comforting words, my emotions gradually calmed. "Honey, I see you haven't had much to do lately. And jobs are really hard to find right now. Why don't we use this time to renovate our new home? Your severance package should be enough." Our connection began in college. To break the curse of breaking up upon graduation, I resolutely gave up my guaranteed spot in graduate school and entered society with him, attending campus recruiting events together. Luckily, we ended up joining the same company, and 6 years flew by. Over these years, we worked together, advancing from junior staff to department manager step by step. My parents also gradually accepted him. We worked hard together and saved up some money. Not long ago, we bought a 2-bedroom apartment to be our bed for the new home. We had originally planned for our parents to meet during the news holiday to discuss our marriage. But now I was facing unemployment, and all our plans were disrupted. Although the company offered a generous severance package, considering the potential gap in employment ahead, I still hesitated. Seeing my indecision, Ethan thought I was still upset about last night and didn't bring up the renovation again. To make amends, that evening he specifically took me to the mall to choose a delicate engagement ring. There was no romantic candlelight dinner, nor any formal proposal. He seemed certain I wouldn't refuse and simply placed the ring on my finger right there in the store. And I, indeed, didn't refuse. Perhaps it was the sense of security the ring brought that made me feel a glimmer of peace at that moment. A few friends from the company, upon hearing about my impending departure, decided to organize a farewell party for me. I don't know whose idea it was, but they insisted I invite Ethan. Although our relationship was no secret at the company, I still agreed. However, when I saw Chloe closely following Ethan into the private dining room, my face instantly went pale. "Ms. Grace, I heard you're leaving the company. I begged Ethan to bring me along to see you off. You don't mind, do you?" Chloe cozied up to Ethan and greeted me playfully, as if we were very close. Before I could speak, Ethan quickly interjected, "Of course not. Grace always enjoys a lively atmosphere, she'll definitely be happy you're here." Under everyone's gaze, I suppressed my emotions and politely replied, "We're all colleagues, of course I welcome you. See? I told you. Grace is the most generous. You were worried about everything on the way here." Ethan smiled and raised his hand, lightly tapping Chloe's forehead. Chloe playfully stuck out her tongue, but this scene was like a knife stabbing deeply into my heart. So, his tenderness wasn't just for me. So, besides me, he could also act so intimately with other girls. I blinked hard to stop the tears from falling. I smiled through it all. I didn't want to lose my composure in front of my colleagues. Since I hadn't expected Ethan to bring someone, I had only reserved one seat next to him. However, Ethan didn't even glance at me and directly pulled out the seat nearest the door for Chloe to sit. Then he sat right next to her, feigning an explanation. Chloe is meeting everyone for the first time, and I'm afraid she'll feel awkward, so I can look after her sitting here. At that moment, Chloe lightly pinched his sleeve and subtly shook it, pretending to be generous as she reminded him, Ethan, Ms. Grace is the guest of honor tonight, isn't it bad to leave her like this? Ms. Grace will throw a tantrum later. Of course not, Ethan said indifferently, Grace has always been sensible. Besides, I brought you here today, so it's my responsibility to look after you. Watching the intimately close pair across from me, I suppressed my rage and lowered my head, quietly eating, no longer paying them any attention. During this time, Ethan went to the restroom. Then, Chloe spoke up again, her voice sweet and soft. By the way, Ms. Grace, have you found a new job yet? I heard that many colleagues who were laid off from the company before still haven't found work. I have something I'm busy with lately, so I'm not in a hurry to find a job, I replied blandly. Ms. Grace, don't misunderstand. I actually wanted to introduce you to a job. A friend of mine works at that company too, but they require recent graduates. If Grace needs it, I can help you get in touch. Me, turning 27 after the news holiday, I don't need it. You can keep it for yourself. Chloe looked wronged and bit her lip as if she wanted to say something more. But I had already lowered my head by then and wasn't in the mood to waste any more words on her. Just then, Ethan walked in from outside. What's wrong, Chloe? Chloe's eyes were red-rimmed, her lips slightly downturned, as if she was about to cry at any moment. Ethan, I didn't mean it. Please quickly explain to Ms. Grace for me. I was just worried about her and wanted to help her find a job. Ethan, upon hearing this, immediately frowned, and without asking a single question, began to reprimand me. Grace, Chloe was just being kind. Don't be so petty, okay? I couldn't hold back anymore and glared at him, seething with resentment. I'm petty? Are you saying I have to beg her and be tearfully grateful to be considered generous? Besides, I merely stated the truth. I genuinely have something important to take care of lately. Didn't you say that I should properly decorate our new home during this time? Then how would I have time and energy for other things? When they heard me mention our new home, a murmur went through the crowd, and everyone started to tease us. Grace, you're unlucky in your career but lucky in love. Are you really getting married soon? Yes, we're all still dreading going back to our parents' homes for the news holiday and being pressured to marry by our relatives. Congratulations on escaping that fate. I smiled and nodded, then held out my hand, revealing the engagement ring on my ring finger. Well, who could resist Ethan's sudden proposal? I just said yes to his proposal, and we're planning to get married after the new. My colleagues offered their congratulations, and I smiled, acknowledging each one. Chloe's face was ashen, her lips pressed tightly together, as she stared intently at the ring on my hand, looking absolutely furious. Ethan, I'm feeling a bit dizzy. I want to go home. Chloe's eyes welled up, she picked up her bag and stood up, ready to leave. Seeing her like this, Ethan immediately stood up and helped her put on her overcoat. No, it's fine. Ms. Grace is still here. You should take her home. I can manage by myself. No sooner had she spoken, her body swayed as if she were about to fall. Ethan immediately grabbed her by the shoulders, insisting on taking her home. Before leaving, he only coldly told me, I'm taking Chloe home. Remember to come back early later. He left cleanly and decisively. Then, from behind the door, his cold voice drifted back. Her colleagues are all here, no need to worry. In an instant, the atmosphere in the private dining room became especially awkward. I sat there, stunned in my seat, not knowing how long I'd been sitting. It was so long that my colleagues gradually left. So long that a waiter cautiously came over to remind me they were closing. Only then did I snap back to reality. I recalled how, not long ago, he had solemnly promised me that he would never leave me alone again. Yet, how much time had passed? He had already thrown his words to the back of his mind. My heart felt numb, or perhaps it was pain. By the time I got home, it was already midnight. The moment I walked in, I was met with Ethan's reproachful gaze. What's wrong with you today? How could you speak to Chloe like that? Do you know Chloe was crying the whole way home? What's wrong with me? I should be asking what's wrong with you. What was the meaning of you bringing her here today? Besides, was I wrong? Weren't we planning to get married next year? Suddenly feeling pointless, I suppressed my emotions and said blandly. Or were you lying to me all along? Did you just felt terrible for your little subordinate crying? If you regret it, just say so. We don't have to get married. We can just break up. Only then did a flicker of panic flash in Ethan's eyes, and he quickly stepped forward to grab my hand. Grace, what are you talking about? I don't regret anything. If I could, I'd get married to you this year. Isn't it just that I'm afraid your parents won't agree? I drank too much tonight. Plus, you came home so late, and I was worried about you, afraid you wouldn't be safe on the way. I spoke harshly in a moment of panic. Hearing his explanation, I almost burst out laughing. Worried about me? If he was truly worried about me, why didn't he call? Why did he not ask a single question when I walked in, only bothering to defend Chloe? Before, every time he softened and apologized, I would think it was a sign of his love and affection for me. But now, I only felt irony and disgust. I was too tired. I didn't want to argue anymore. I went back to my room and locked the door. After that incident, News Eve soon arrived. Since hometown was far away and it wasn't convenient for him to go home, he ate News Eve dinner with my family, just like in previous years. That day, Ethan brought many things to my parents' home, and my parents were very happy to see him. Especially my mom, who had started bustling around early that morning, preparing a table full of dishes. Just as everyone began to eat, Ethan's phone rang. From the other end of the line, I heard Chloe's whimpering voice. Ethan, can you come help me? I really can't find any other way, sob, sob, sob. I lowered my head and rolled my eyes. On such a good day, how unlucky. How long had it been? And the address had already changed to Ethan. What's wrong? Take your time, no need to rush. Ethan stood up and walked to the side, his voice betraying unconcealed worry. It's the news holiday, right? My parents are insisting I go on blind dates. I was really forced, so I lied and told them I already have a boyfriend and even accepted his proposal. And then they started questioning me, insisting I explain everything clearly. They won't even let me go home. Now, only you can help me. Can you come over? Her frail voice came through the phone. Okay, wait for me. Ethan agreed without a moment's hesitation. After hanging up the phone, he called me into the room. Grace, Chloe has run into some trouble. She needs me. I have to go over there right away. She tells you to go, and you go? What about me? Don't be unreasonable, okay? Chloe genuinely has a problem. She's out there alone. What if she gets cold? I'm unreasonable? On New Year's Eve, my own fiancé runs off to meet another woman's parents and then accuses me of being unreasonable. My whole body trembled. I stared at him with wide, angry eyes, too furious to speak. Look, I'm just going to check on her. If everything's fine, I'll be right back. Don't forget to explain it to my parents for me. Oh, and can you lend me the engagement ring? Chloe said she needs it later, otherwise her parents won't believe she has a boyfriend. I see. Clenched my fists, my knuckles white. My nose stung, and the tears I had been holding back finally fell. Seeing my reluctance, Ethan simply pried open my fingers, took off the engagement ring, and quickly left. The room fell into an extreme silence. After a long while, I managed to compose myself and left the room. My parents looked at me with worried expressions. Did have some urgent matter? He left without even eating his meal. No, it's nothing. His company's management had an urgent matter come up and they insisted on him going there. He couldn't help it. I guess they'll have other arrangements over there. Let's eat first, no need to wait for him. I feigned nonchalance, suppressing my sadness, and smiled as I urged my parents to start eating, not daring to betray any emotion. When the clock struck midnight, the fireworks outside the window burst like scattered stars in the night sky. Lying on the bed in my bedroom, I heard the songs from the News Eve special on TV playing in the living room, but my ears only buzzed, as if something had enveloped my hearing, leaving me helpless and numb. Just then, I also saw Chloe's latest social media update. It was a photo of people toasting at a News Eve dinner table. The slender hand in the photo was both familiar and jarring. And next to it, a fair-skinned hand raising a glass was wearing my stolen engagement ring. The photo was accompanied by a caption. New Year, meeting the parents with my fiancé. It was playful and sweet. Below it were congratulatory comments from some colleagues at the company. My first reaction was to call Ethan. But just a second before pressing the dial button, I quietly put it down again. A while later, I opened my social media update, scrolled back to that post, and left a comment. Congratulations. I hope my ring fits you well. After sending this message, I logged out and turned off my phone. The next morning, Ethan indeed came rushing over, furious, to confront me. Grace, do you know what you're doing? What did I do? Why did you post that comment on Chloe's social media update yesterday? Do you know how many colleagues saw it? How is Chloe supposed to work at the company now? Ethan pointed at me, his face full of rage, and loudly reprimanded me. Having not slept all night, I had no desire to explain anything. I just stared at him coldly. What she does is none of my business. As for you, since you're so worried about her, why don't you just make your lie a reality? Consider that ring my gift to you both. After speaking, I didn't want to hear his excuses and simply closed the door. Only then did Ethan calm down. For some reason, a sudden panic arose in his heart, and he immediately thrust his hand into the door crack. "Ah," he cried out in pain. "What are you doing?" I quickly pulled open the door and hissed. "Grace, I was wrong. I was too hasty just now. I'm sorry. Please don't close the door yet. I've already said all I need to say. You should leave now. I truly know I was wrong. I'll go get the ring back today. Chloe is just a junior colleague of mine. I absolutely have no other intentions with her. I only love you." He held up his reddened hand and shakily swore to me, with a hint of pleading. I didn't say anything. I took him to the hospital for dressing. Later, the engagement ring returned to my hand, but I never wore it again, tossing it directly into a drawer. After the new celebrations, everyone resumed their routines and got busy. I also prepared to replan my future. I decided to follow my family's advice and start taking the civil service exam. During this period, I stayed at my parents' home, immersed in my own affairs. Ethan also returned to the company, and our meetings gradually decreased. Beyond daily greetings, there was no other communication. One day, as I was about to go back to my room to rest, my phone dinged with a new message. It was a photo. When I opened it, my pupils immediately constricted. In the photo, a man and a woman were intertwined on a bed. I recognized Ethan and Chloe at a glance. And that bed looked strikingly familiar. It was clearly our bed for the new home, which I had personally chosen just days ago to put in our new home. That awful pair actually behind my back, in my new home, on my bed, doing such disgusting things. Immediately after, another voice message arrived on my phone. "Honey, between Ms. Grace and me, who do you like sleeping with more?" Her voice was soft, seductive, and breathless. "Of course it's you. Is that even a question? I've been with her for 7 years. Wouldn't you be tired of it?" Then came Ethan's heavy breathing. My head buzzed. My thoughts completely froze at that moment. My body felt as if it were encased in ice, unable to move. In that moment, I felt like a complete joke. 7 years of feelings, all those so-called sweet nothings, couldn't stand against a single word, tired. It was like evidence, hitting me with a slap in the face. This time, I would never foolishly believe his apologies again or his so-called love. From then on, I didn't confront him nor did I ever go to the new home again. I quietly began to move my belongings out of the rental apartment, bit by bit. After I sent off the last box of my luggage, I calmly sent him a message. "Ethan, let's break up. I've taken all my things. You can deal with the rest yourself. Don't ask me. The ring and keys are on the coffee table." Upon receiving the message, Ethan rushed to my parents' home that very night. "Grace, what's wrong now? You're always bringing up breaking up. If you're not annoyed, I am." Perhaps due to work stress, he squeezed the bridge of his nose hard, his face etched with impatience, blaming me for being unreasonable. "Nothing. I just don't love you anymore. I just don't want to continue with you. Stop throwing a tantrum, okay? I'm busy with company matters all day long, so it's inevitable I might neglect you. But can you please not throw a tantrum? And listen clearly. We're not compatible. I'm not joking about breaking up with you. I'm serious," I said, looking at him calmly, word by word. "Also, I've moved all my belongings out of the rental apartment. I don't want the new home either. But you must pay me back the money I contributed. Let's part ways amicably and go our separate ways." Only then did he realize something was wrong. Seeing that I was serious, his whole body tensed. It felt as if a crucial part of his heart had been ripped out, and he quickly grabbed my arms with both hands. "Grace, did I do something wrong? I apologize to you. Don't be like this. I love you. You can't leave me." "Huh, love me? Love me so much you'd sleep with someone else?" I smacked his hand away and looked at him coldly. A flicker of panic crossed Ethan's eyes, but he quickly regained his composure. "What are you talking about? I didn't sleep with anyone else. I've only ever been with you." I didn't bother to argue. I simply sent him the photos from my phone. "Where did you get those photos?" You're disgusting, Ethan. We were together for 7 years. I trusted you so much. My world revolved around you. But you ended up with another woman in my bed. Don't you feel dirty? It's not like that, Grace, listen to me explain. That day, we were drinking with clients. We were both so drunk we weren't thinking straight. That's why I mistook her for you. I only love you. You have to believe me. I turned my head away, not wanting to see his hypocritical face. Don't say another word. I have a strong aversion to filth, and now seeing you makes me sick. Pay me back the $450,000 I contributed to buying and renovating the apartment. From now on, we're done. Hearing me demand the money, he was both shocked and troubled. Grace, you know, I don't have that much money. Besides, we're about to get married. Can't you just forgive me this once? He eagerly stepped forward and held me tightly, his voice trembling as it whispered in my ear. But I only felt my skin crawl. Thinking of that photo again, I instantly struggled violently, trying my best to break free from his embrace. I don't care if you borrow it or take out a loan, if you don't transfer the money to my card within 10 days, I won't hesitate to send the photos to the company group chat for everyone to see. I'll see if that awful pair can still remain at the company then. With that, I slammed the door shut. Over the next few days, no matter how Ethan pleaded, I didn't soften. Every time he brought up getting back together, I would remind him about the money he owed. Finally, he understood that I wouldn't turn back. So, he returned the money to me within the deadline. Later, I heard from former colleagues that the two of them got together not long after. However, because our affair had caused such a stir at the company, many people disliked Chloe, the mistress taking over, and her life at the company wasn't easy. I didn't react much upon hearing this. The moment the money arrived, I blocked them and stopped caring about their affairs. After I came clean to my parents, to my surprise, they weren't against it. They simply said, "We will support any choice our daughter makes." I was both moved and regretted having undervalued myself so much before and failing my parents' expectations. So, I focused even more intently, refusing all social activities. I dedicated myself to studying for the exam. My days became a routine of training courses, the library, and home, my mind no longer dwelling on other things. Finally, half a year later, I successfully passed the exam for the Department of Strategic as I wished. Only then did I reconnect with the outside world. When my best friend found out, she immediately invited me out for drinks. I happily agreed. At the bar, my best friend teased, "You've got a secure government job now. When are you going to start thinking about marriage? I still haven't been your bridesmaid yet." No rush on that. I just managed to escape a truly terrible relationship. I don't want to end my single life so soon. Sounds like you're enjoying your current situation. Absolutely. Being single is great. No pain, no worries. I raised my glass, closed my eyes, and took a small sip. Tisk, tsk, tsk. You found enlightenment after experiencing great sorrow and great joy. I just smiled without replying. Oh, right. Have you checked our high school classmate group chat? There's a reunion at the hotel next week. You should come too. I won't go. I still have a lot of things to do. What could you possibly have to do? You're done with everything you needed to be busy with. It's time to come out and relax. My best friend wouldn't let go, insisting that I go with her. Didn't you say last time that you wanted to buy an apartment? Daniel will be there too. His family's apartment complex developments were selling like hotcakes. You can ask him about it then. I did indeed plan to buy a place. The money Ethan had returned to me last time was still in my card, and I hadn't had time to deal with it. Now that everything had settled, I planned to buy an apartment near my new workplace. Alright, then please sign me up. I'll be there. That's great. Make sure to dress up beautifully when you go. Back in the day, you were our class sweetheart. On the day of the class reunion, I made an effort to dress up. In previous years, because Ethan didn't like it, I hardly ever attended high school reunions. When I arrived at the hotel, as soon as I walked in, I saw many familiar faces. After so many years, my classmates were exceptionally warm towards me. Grace, I heard from Sarah that you passed the exam for our city's Department of Strategic. That's a great place to work. Sarah was my best friend. I haven't reported yet. I'm still waiting for news. It's a done deal anyway. Don't forget your old classmates then, okay? I smiled politely. Just then, someone in the crowd called out, "Daniel, you're finally here? You're late today, you know. You have to drink a penalty shot." Several male classmates stood up and greeted him. I also turned my head to look. The person entering was wearing a crisp business suit, with a black overcoat casually draped over his arm. After so many years, Daniel had become so mature and steady. He was dressed like a corporate elite. I could hardly recall the mischievous boy who used to sit behind me and constantly pull my hair to tease me. When he saw me, his gaze paused for a moment before he lightly nodded in my direction. I also generously smiled and nodded back at him. My apologies. The company had something come up that delayed me. I'll definitely penalize myself with 3 drinks later. Daniel apologized good-naturedly. All right then, come and sit down quickly. We can start eating. A classmate pointed to an empty seat at the head of the table. My best friend was sitting to my left, and the seat on my other side was coincidentally empty. He ended up plopping down in the empty seat next to me. I'll be lazy and just sit here, he said, hanging his overcoat on the back of his chair as he sat down. The class sweetheart wouldn't mind, would she? He teased, turning to me. No, Grace wouldn't mind at all. Before I could react, my best friend leaned over and answered for me. Grace also mentioned wanting to buy an apartment previously. Isn't your family's apartment complex right nearby? You'll have to give Grace a discount then. Daniel's eyes lit up. Of course. Class sweetheart, when are you free? I'll personally take you to see it. Please don't call me class sweetheart anymore. Just call me by my name. Okay, then Grace, let's exchange contact info. I'll contact you then. He readily agreed. Grace isn't a name you can just casually use. I muttered inwardly, but I was too embarrassed to remind him again. Daniel was very efficient. As soon as the weekend arrived, he proactively contacted me to take me to see the apartment. The apartment complex his family developed was indeed impressive. It offered hotel-style management. I was very satisfied with both the environment and the location. Finally, on his recommendation, I settled on a unit. The moment I swiped my card to pay, I felt a great sense of relief. It was as if I had finally severed ties with the past, feeling light and free. Feeling good, I invited Daniel to dinner. After all, the internal discount he gave me saved me a lot of money. I had assumed someone as busy as him wouldn't have time, but he agreed without hesitation. This time, it was my turn to be surprised. He looked at me and smiled. What's wrong? Surprised? Were you not sincere in inviting me to dinner? No, of course not. I absolutely wanted to treat you. After all, you helped me a great deal this time. Since it was a spontaneous decision, we casually found a cozy bistro and ordered a few dishes. Before the food was served, he meticulously prepared our table settings for me and refilled my tea. I couldn't help but marvel, teasing him casually. I never knew Daniel was so attentive. It would be quite a perk to be your girlfriend. He stopped what he was doing, looked up, and gazed directly at me. I'll give you that perk. Do you want it? Huh? What did you say? I didn't quite grasp it at first. I said, be my girlfriend. He stared intently at me, afraid of missing any expression on my face. Stop joking. How could we possibly? Why not? I've already asked Sarah. You've been broken up for a while. Now we're both single. Why can't we be together? He looked resolute, his gaze burning, his expression extremely serious. His gaze made my heart flutter, and I quickly lowered my head to hide my reaction. During the rest of the meal, he kept serving me food, while I kept my head down, eating intently, not daring to look up. I couldn't understand why he liked me. We hadn't been in touch for so many years, and now he was suddenly confessing his feelings to me. My heart was inexplicably flustered. After dinner, he drove me home. His car stopped downstairs in the apartment complex. Just as I opened the car door, Daniel, beside me, spoke again. Grace, what I said earlier was serious. Please consider it carefully. No, I mean, what exactly do you see in me? Have you really felt nothing at all? Even knows I've liked you since high school. I froze, and stammered, I didn't know. He sighed softly, as if at a loss with me, and said resignedly, well, now you know. Can I be your boyfriend this time? I fled in disarray. Once upstairs, I didn't turn on the lights. The first thing I did was walk towards the balcony. Sure enough, his car was still parked downstairs, with a faint glow of a cigarette in the dim light. He was leaning against the car door, looking down and smoking. Actually, Daniel was really great. He was tall and handsome. He came from a wealthy background but lacked the frivolousness of a spoiled rich kid. When he looked at me and confessed his feelings, word by word, today, I was moved. He was right. Since the past was in the past, why couldn't I find a new boyfriend? Having figured things out, I no longer hesitated. I opened the door and ran downstairs. I ran to him, panting, Daniel, let's give us a try. He stared at me blankly, then became ecstatic. He pulled me into a tight embrace, and I could barely breathe. Really? Don't lie to me. I don't care, even if you're lying, I'll take it seriously. You can't escape now. My face pressed against his chest, I listened to his racing heartbeat, pounding like drums. My heart had never felt so resolute. After I got together, it shocked a lot of our classmates. They never would have imagined that the two of us would end up together. Some classmates even started teasing us, insisting we treat them to a meal. Daniel generously agreed to each request, and took the opportunity to officially announce our relationship. Our dating life was both ordinary and warm. This time, I learned my lesson and didn't agree to live together. However, Daniel actually moved into the apartment right across from mine. He had planned it all along, it turned out. But I secretly rejoiced, liking that he put so much thought into things for me. The next time I saw Ethan was at a city project bidding conference. He was there as a member of the participating company, attending with his company's project manager. At the check-in desk at the entrance, Ethan saw the work ID badge hanging around my neck. He opened his mouth in surprise, but no sound came out. Mr. Harrison, the company's CEO, shrewdly stepped forward to greet me. "Oh, Grace, so you're the host this time. Don't forget your old company this time." "Oh, no, I'm just a staff member here. Everyone competes fairly, and we welcome all participants." While politely responding, I guided them to the colleague responsible for the next step. Mr. Harrison, having entered the venue, couldn't help but sigh to Ethan. "Ethan, when Grace left the company originally, who would have thought she'd now be our client?" He paused, then corrected himself. "No, wait. We might not even be able to become her vendor. Just look at how the world changes, how the tables have turned. You really never know." Ethan couldn't utter a single word. He felt an increasing tightness in his chest until he couldn't breathe, as if an invisible hand had brutally seized his heart, suffocating him. Seeing his state, Mr. Harrison secretly shook his head. This still isn't up to par. He's usually quite capable, but today he's like a wooden dummy. I should have known better than to bring him after the bidding conference. Grace wasn't surprised to learn that Ethan's company hadn't won the bid. This project was quite significant, and many companies had high hopes for it, making the competition fierce. As she was preparing to pack up her documents, Daniel's phone call came through. "Grace, are you finished the I'll come pick you up. I made a dinner reservation for tonight." "Okay, I'll be ready in a moment." Once everything was packed, she said goodbye to her colleagues and left. Just as she reached the main entrance, she saw a familiar figure standing ahead, looking somewhat weary and worn. It was Ethan. He heard her movements, turned, saw it was Grace, and quickly stepped forward. "Grace, how have you been lately?" His voice trembled, and his lips were pale from biting them. Grace smiled, her heart perfectly calm. "I'm doing very well, thank you for asking." "Grace, please don't be like this. We weren't like this before." His expression was pained, he slowly closed his eyes as if in shame, and when he opened them again, they were bloodshot. Seeing him like that, Grace sighed. "There's no need for you to be like this. What happened before was a long time ago. But I just can't get you out of my head. After you left, I realized you're the one I truly love. Every time I think of you, my heart aches like a stabbing pain. Grace, can you forgive me one more time?" "No." A cold male voice came from behind her. Then, she was pulled into a familiar embrace. She wondered how much Daniel had heard from behind them. Seeing who it was, Ethan glared at him furiously. "What business is it of yours? What happens between Grace and me is none of your concern." Daniel scoffed as if he'd heard a joke. "If you're trying to steal my girl, then it absolutely is my business, isn't that right, Grace?" After speaking, he provocatively lowered his head and kissed her on the lips right in front of Ethan. The kiss was both assertive and tender, and it was then that Grace realized Daniel hadn't been as composed as he'd appeared earlier. Daniel was feeling vulnerable and sensitive at that moment. Ethan didn't know Daniel, but Daniel certainly knew Ethan. It was because of Ethan that Daniel had waited so many years to finally be with Grace. He was afraid Grace might soften and abandon him. Grace gently squeezed Daniel's waist, signaling him not to be so provocative. Daniel looked into her eyes, and only when he confirmed she hadn't been swayed by Ethan did he pull back slightly, though still holding her tightly in his embrace. She avoided looking at Ethan's desolate face and, ignoring him, followed Daniel into his car. As soon as they were in the car, Daniel leaned in close again. It was rare to see him act so childishly. Grace chuckled and asked him, "What's wrong? I didn't even acknowledge him just now, did I?" "I was afraid you'd see him like that and get back together with him," he pouted, sounding very aggrieved. Grace couldn't help but burst out laughing. How could I? You're so wonderful. I'd have to be out of my mind to leave you and go back to an old flame. Her words made him laugh, and he couldn't resist squeezing her palm. Good, because even if you changed your mind, I wouldn't let you. That evening, they ended up not eating out. Instead, they went to the grocery store, bought some ingredients, and cooked dinner themselves back at the apartment. One day, half a month later, Daniel proposed to her. With both their parents and friends as witnesses, he knelt on one knee, holding a sparkling diamond ring, and looked at her tenderly. Grace, let's get married. This was the second time she had been proposed to, but unlike before, this time she could clearly feel that being truly cherished was a completely different experience. Yes, she softly agreed, stepping forward to embrace him. On her wedding day, Grace learned from a university classmate that Ethan had also been laid off from the company. She didn't know where he went after that, nor did she inquire. The past felt as distant as a previous lifetime. The best friend who hadn't been able to be her bridesmaid before was asked to be one again for this wedding. Before the wedding ceremony, her bridesmaid adjusted Grace's veil and, fearing she might be nervous, playfully teased her. Grace, after all the twists and turns, you still got married before me, and I'm still your bridesmaid. Grace covered her mouth and chuckled. Of course. Grooms can change, but my bridesmaid never will.